No, that's not Sir Winston.
Yes, it is, Joe.
It's not
Listen,
red
I do
enough.
not want in between an argument
Okay.
between you two. And I told you I'll believe anything because I have the least of the green thumbs.
Sorry, I was thinking of Spencer Tracy.
Absolutely, you're on the wrong guy.
Yeah.
All right. You want to tell everybody what we're doing on Facebook?
Are we up?
Same
Yeah.
year.
Hey, Facebook. We're so excited to be back. We are here. Listen, when Doug Oster tells you to be somewhere, we've been joking about it, you do it. And Doug Oster told us to drive about 50 minutes south to Washington, PA, and to come to the Daffodil Farm with this amazing gentleman to my left, Joe. And we're here. We're here today, and there's so many people that are kind of coming through to just see all the different types of who would have known there's all these different daffodils. So as you know, this is the behind the scenes of the YaJagoff Podcast. We are super excited because we're trying to get out of Allegheny County and see the different things in different counties. So this was the perfect opportunity for us to do that. So you will see like little faux pas. You'll see us moving back and forth. You might see us put the mic down and kind of changing things up. So that's why it's the behind the scenes. So we hope you kind of, gives you the reason to want to come here yourself. Don't do a podcast, just come out and visit and enjoy it.
Yeah, if
Was
you
that
do
good
a
enough?
podcast, that's okay. You can come down.
Yeah.
Joe will take you.
Joe will, he's
yeah.
good enough
Yeah,
dude
right.
like that.
Right.
All right. So, anyways,
Just for protocol,
So
right?
you'll see behind is, like she said, what you'll see the people going in and out, and you also know that in between each guest, when the edited version comes out, there will be music and frivolity.
Look at that.
You think? Yeah.
So
All
for
right.
protocol's sake, just so you know, we always stage everyone 6 feet from us. We're still, obviously operating under CDC guidelines. John and I, in case you didn't know, we quarantined together for 62 years since the quarantine started.
And we never had a fight.
And we didn't fight. He was in my pod though. So we make sure that we're obviously operating under, good circumstances and we're in healthy, safe quarters. Our guests are welcome to mask up or not mask because again, we are outside and we are positioned across from each other. We always read our Rorick Honda ad because they're our fearless sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, thanks to Tracy for helping put all this together. No Colin this week. He's vacationing.
Right. So this is how we start the podcast. We do a Rorick ad, then you'd hear some music, and then we go into what was on the blog this week. And then we get to talk to our guest.
You ready?
Good. Do it.
There is no better time than now to trade in your car, so we've been hearing. That trade-in is good for amazing new vehicles as well as certified and used vehicles. And no matter what that car deal is, expect the Rorick Advantage. The other advantage at Rorick is the parking a lot of fun shows that we have with comedians and musicians. Check YaJagoff.com for details and visit Rorick.com for all of your
Vehicle needs.
All right.
And this is now when we start the podcast from Joe Hamm's Daffodil Hortus.
Oh, I
How
said
about that?
farm.
So this is where you'll hear music on the
John
podcast.
throwing out fancy words.
And so now we say this is the YaJagoff Podcast. We hope that you listen every week, and you're watching it right now on Facebook, but make sure you subscribe to it because the clean, edited version comes out every Monday. If you want to be first to get it, you subscribe to it wherever you get your podcast, especially on the Odyssey, not radio.com app anymore,
Yeah,
Odyssey app.
yeah.
And so you subscribe there. And we have a bunch of guests. We're at a Daffodil Hortus, as we said. If you want to know what that is, we'll tell you that in a second. But we want to make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And if you go on iTunes, also make sure you leave us a comment and tell us that
If it's good.
at least we're nice.
If it's not good, pull us aside, tell us what's up, and we'll deal with it from there.
Yeah, right.
Don't
and then
do
we
it on
beat
there.
you up in an alley, and then you give us a right.
I swear it doesn't
Right.
happen.
So what was on the blog
What was
this
on the
week?
blog? So I'm going to jump to what I wrote. I wasn't a big contributor this week. You took on a good bit because we obviously talked about our parking lot show that's happening. We definitely want you guys to check that out. It's live music out of the Ginchy Stuff parking lot there where Bicycle Heaven and Ginchy Stuff are. So we're super excited about that. But my Jagoff of the week I didn't win. You actually won. If you think about it, because Elista on Star 100.7 does the Jagoff of the Week every Friday, and I was really hoping that mine won because I wrote it from the perspective of the quarter, and here's why. This week, the parking app went down, okay? So basically, it got hacked. So if you were trying to park in downtown Pittsburgh, downtown, wherever, you could not use the app. So these millennials don't know what the heck to do because they only know their app. So the quarter was really PO'd, to be honest, and was kind of like, what happened? Because I used to be that
I never left you hanging out, right?
Yeah, like I used to be jammed into these things to park, but now this app. But Alyssa didn't pick that. She picked
The
yours.
Jagoff of the week was, we have a picture of a car, an SUV going up Route 28, and there's one of the floor mats is hanging from the rear windshield.
Yeah.
And we're like,
Ghetto.
That in itself, it's like, okay, we've all been there before. We're very careful to call this person a Jagoff because we've all been there before, right? You put your lunch, your phone, your notes from your meeting up on top of your car, whatever, and it's nowhere to be found after you get 2 miles down the road. But
Right.
I'd also have to think, like, going up 28, this thing had to have been flapping on the back, spanking the car.
Listen,
and you don't hear it?
John Chamberlain, and I don't want to call someone out for being a Jagoff when driving, does not compute. Because when John is driving, I feel like I rat you out every episode now, but literally, when John is driving, he's a totally best guy until he's driving. When he's behind the wheel, he's a totally different person. Just saying. So you couldn't wait to call him out.
We are headed to Dr. Phil next week.
We are. So listen, we're super excited to be here. As we all know, I am proximity challenged, but I knew we were south.
Yes, because it said I-79 South when we got on.
I read the sign.
You're cheating.
Yeah, I'm smart.
And we want to make sure you listen to, again, Alista on 100.7 FM every Friday at 9:55 for our Jag of the Week. Also listen to Kelly on 100.7 every 4:55 Monday through Friday. Not this week because she's on vacation.
Yeah.
But anyways, listen to Kelly for the
happiness.
daily dose of happiness. If you have a daily dose of something cool going on like this right here, you should call us and tell us so we can include it in the daily dose
How
of
can
happiness.
this not be a daily dose? Listen, truth be told, as we've said this before about animals and such, I've never been a flower person, but this was so intriguing because how does something like a daffodil not cheer you up? And just the fact that you can come and there's not a farm, but a Hortus. I keep saying it wrong, I guess. But and when Doug said this, that we had to come here, we were saying, is it a kept secret? It's not a kept secret because you have visitors all the time.
And Joe, we'll have to get real close to the microphone.
Yeah, Joe, if
there
you
you go.
don't mind.
Yeah.
So we have the honor of meeting this gentleman right here, Joe, who you're kind of the head guy in charge here, right? With the sisters of the field.
The field sisters
Yes.
are now my bosses.
Well, that's a given. That's a given, Joe. If you could talk to us, for someone who has not been here, talk to us about why they need to come. Where is it? Why they need to come, and why the heck daffodils? Because I asked Doug Oster that, and he said, that hard work is for whenever Joe gets on.
Why daffodils?
Yes.
I always grew daffodils from age 13 on, I guess. But I never paid much attention to them. They were just yellow flowers.
Right.
Plant them. Then in 1990, I met a group of women that, they were sitting in this tent polishing bulbs with towels. And why would you do something like that? It's not done anymore that way. I mean,
Okay.
That was 30 years ago.
Okay.
Or whatever it's been.
Yeah.
But no, we use brushes now. But it intrigued me. And then when I discovered how many different kinds there were, it really fascinated me. And I thought, I'm going to start collecting daffodils. And when I found out there was 29,000 different kind, I thought,
Who knew?
Name them in alphabetic order now, Joe.
I know. What number is 27,000?
I'll tell you, the last one is Xeris.
Okay, nice.
That is awesome. What is it about the daffodil? What does it represent? I mean, that particular flower.
Is it indigenous to Pennsylvania?
Oh, no. It's indigenous to Africa, Mediterranean, and Spain.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, and historically it goes, there are sketches of daffodils in the Egyptian tombs.
Oh, is that right?
And it's been told that when the good Lord said, consider the daylilies, or no, not daylilies, so consider the lilies of the field.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was really daffodils he was talking about.
And who's here? Who's going to correct him?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. He's really the HBIC. Oh my goodness. So okay, so where?
But anyway, I really became enthralled with them when, where I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana, I was right next to the park, and We had deer problem. Also had a beaver problem.
Welcome to my world. Yeah.
So nobody bothers daffodils. They're poisonous.
Oh, is that
And
right?
the animals seem to sense that. They know that. Now, the deer may come when the greenery's first coming out of the ground, and,
Sure.
they might nip it, but, yeah, I'm being corrected.
Uh-oh.
I'm not holding my
Oh
utensil
no, you're fine.
properly.
John's just making sure we can hear you okay. So, and for people who don't know where this is, if you're living in, Pittsburgh, Western PA, not in the heart of where you're located, why here?
Why here?
Yes.
It took me 4 years to find here.
Okay. And what
'Cause-
was that process like?
Well, the thing is, I mean, this terrain out here is good for goats, but it's not good for gardening.
All right. There's a lot of steps involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot
Yeah,
of
I mean, I
inclines.
looked at properties that were, just cliffs.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't explain it to a realtor what she needed. And a friend of mine happened to spot this driving by, and he thought it looked reasonable, and it is reasonable.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You want some slope because it keeps the drainage for
Okay.
the daffodils.
Mhm.
Because their active time is in the spring, and then they don't want any water all summer.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And there's John, in case you didn't know, do you know how many divisions there are of daffodil?
13.
Because I told you before.
No, I'm reading a sign right there.
See, like, why did you do that? I was so excited that I took a walk
You were
with
trying.
Doug
She's
and
like, I'm
learned.
good. Right. so
Learned.
that's the cool thing is that Rachel and Tracy walked around with Doug to look at the daffodils.
Right.
So, Joe, is there? Is it hard? Is one harder to raise than another in Pennsylvania soil, or you've sort of kind of cultivated the soil now that all of them thrive?
Well, John, 80-degree weather is not good.
right.
Is that right? Okay.
Boom! Thanks, Doug.
Suddenly we have Scott
We've had
Harbaugh on the
some-
podcast.
We have had a screwy spring. I mean, it's up and down,
Okay.
up and down.
Yeah.
They take the down, but they don't like the ups.
Oh,
How about
okay.
that? Yeah, who'd have thought?
No, they're really not fussy
Okay.
eaters. Just,
Okay.
The only thing we do is we cultivate we put in a layer of sand and then a layer of mulch and
Okay.
till that all in to make the soil friable.
I feel like you're giving us the secret sauce recipe.
Listen.
People will not give away their spaghetti
Sand
sauce,
and
but you're
mulch.
giving away the
Sand and
secrets.
mulch.
And so, tell us, you've been here for a while. Tell us a little bit about just the experiences you've had here. People, since we've been here just for an hour, people are showing up and they're hearing about what you're doing today, sort of getting exposure. So, tell us a little bit about the experiences you've had
Well,
from having this.
This year's been a little more exceptional because of somebody's mouth. should I say. No, we appreciate it. It's been good. No, I don't know. It's indoctrination as far as I'm concerned
Okay.
with people. And once they're exposed to it, they realize, it's really something else. They don't realize. I had a call this morning from a gal that I gave a gentleman flowers to take back to the office, and she called all excited and that this morning. When she's coming out tomorrow with her granddaughter and her
That's great.
husband, and it's just
And that's the best part too, John, because you didn't get the tour like I did because you were setting up.
Yes.
So as you walk through the literally 13 different divisions, there's hints of reds, oranges, almost white. This one, what is this one called again? It's not Spencer Tracy.
I know it's searching Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill. And it has the most beautiful scent. Like I said, I've always said, oh, flowers, I'm good. I'll pass on flowers. But when you see this, it just perks you up. And the coolest part is the volunteers here are going to walk you through and they actually pick bunches for you, like to take with you.
Right.
So they don't want us just kind of diving in and pulling them out because.
Well, we've educated some people on how to snap them.
Yeah.
We just tell them if there's more than a dozen or a bigger clump, help yourself. But if it's just 1 or 3 or, less than 10, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, these survive if they're bulbs, right? So can we grow them and keep them in a house somewhere, or no matter where we go, they'll go to sleep at some point during the year, right?
Right.
Okay.
But you leave them in the ground.
Okay.
And unless you want to, they get to a point where they multiply every year. It's, it's 2 and then 4 and then 8
Okay.
and 6, it goes on.
So if you're looking for ground cover, is this a good choice?
No,
or
it's
no?
not a ground chuck cover.
Okay.
I've grown them.
John didn't take the
I've
tour.
grown them under. Oh God, my mind.
That's okay.
It's not ivy. It's the other thing. Periwinkle. Huh? Vinca. Yes.
He phoned a friend of Doug Oster.
Yeah, Doug's
Doug
like
on the
Cyrano
line.
de Bergerac. He's over
911
there.
Doug.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing you can grow them. You can grow them under some of the sedums and that too. I mean,
Okay,
if you're after.
Uh-huh. So you have a big spot. Let's say you have a 6x6 spot. And you want it to eventually just fill in. It's a 6x6 spot. You buy 24 daffodil bulbs, and then in 2 years, the spot's almost full.
You'll have to dig it up in about 5 years. You have to dig the whole thing up.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't want to do it that way because then you have a barren area. You want to mix it with like daylilies or
Okay.
hostas or,
Okay.
of course, daylilies and hosta are deer salad. So
Yeah.
I love
Deer salad.
yeah. Like the dandelion. That's what we were talking about.
Right. Joe, this is amazing. Now, we
We
know
love it.
that in talking to your sister that you accept donations when people are here, but you don't have a way to take donations online. So what I told your sister is if you're watching this, you're listening to the podcast, Venmo us at YaJagoff Podcast account.
Oh, that was
and
smart.
mark it for Joe, or mark it as Daffodil.
Oh.
If you don't know how to spell
For
Daffodil,
Earth Day,
Google it.
especially. coming
Yeah,
up.
and
at John
and
spreading
just
the
just go ahead and Venmo us $5,
Such a good
$20,
guy.
whatever. Then
No.
so do that. and
Yes,
we'll give them
Joe.
the money. And then the second thing is you have to come down here. Then give Joe your money yourself. So you give twice.
Right. That's more important. You have to come
yeah,
here.
but you only have a couple more weeks, and then the daffodils are going to be gone.
Right.
Yeah, I know. That's it.
This year, they're not. I don't think they'll last as long.
Okay.
Who knows? I mean, they're talking about another week of cold weather, so maybe they will
know.
hang on.
That'll help.
I
Yeah.
know.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, listen, you've made it this far, so now you get the coveted question of the day. You
Which-
ready?
yeah.
Don't
it's
get nervous.
It's a little bit. Fill in the blank. April showers bring.
Mayflowers.
Oh, I wanted
He's a
something else.
traditionalist.
He's a traditional.
You didn't think
guy.
Joe was going to be a
He
traditionalist?
was. He was going to say daffodils. I thought. It's going to be tougher for if Doug
No,
says that
because
he's
it would
never
take
coming back
March
on.
showers to bring the daffodils in April.
Corrected, Rachel.
I stand corrected.
Right.
You're right.
Yes.
That was a really good one. Joe, thank you so much. We will actually have the in the show notes where you can follow any of the info that Doug has given us as far as the website and different articles because, again, like you said, Doug is the mouth for this place. That's for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for having us, and we're actually going to bring Doug in.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
He gets to talk. Listen, he didn't just invite us to talk to you, Joe. He wants to chat, too. Doug, there's a thing of Clorox wipes. And obviously, Facebook world, as you see, like, if you were listening to this, you wouldn't hear any of the behind the scenes. It would go right into the flow of the next guest. But for now, we're just kind of, getting Joe situated and then bringing Doug in. And then we do have another guest, which is Harry Funk, who, funny story, John and I met doing our real job stuff with marketing at Providence Point over in Scott Township, and we've been wanting to have him on as well. But first it's going to be Doug, because we basically just, Doug's doing everything in Pittsburgh right now, so we need him to be on here quarterly, we've decided. We just didn't tell you that. It was in your contract the first time, Doug. You just didn't know.
Listen, I'll be on any day you want me on.
I love it. Well, and that's the great part about you is that you were saying, I was on this podcast the other day. You have been, on so many different podcasts and so many different platforms of media because the things that you're doing, like you just truly nurture education.
I love what I do.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it shows.
and I don't want to do it from a soapbox.
Yeah.
My big thing is organic gardening.
Right.
But I don't want somebody to look at me and say, that I'm forcing him to be an organic gardener, or
Right.
I'm say you must come to Joe Hamm's Daffodil Hortus. I'm just out there to put this information out there, and if you're interested, come down here or try and make a move towards
Sure.
growing organic. It's
Sure.
pretty easy.
Well, and for people who don't know, I mean, I don't know where you're living, but Doug is known. Obviously, he was with the Trib. You've done something. You give tips constantly on your own. I mean, and we found the other gem, but the botanic garden. Because remember, we stood corrected on that one. And they actually have just been in the news as well, because there are these amazing places beyond Phipps Conservatory. Not that Phipps isn't gorgeous in its own.
Phipps is an amazing place.
Right.
There's a lot of other hidden Pittsburgh treasures when it comes to gardening, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
This is a magical place. When I actually learned about this place from Keith Kaiser, who's the executive director of the Pittsburgh Botanic Garden. And the first time I came down here and I met everybody, and I met Joe and his sister and the Field sisters, Carol, I just fell in love with this place, and I want everyone to know about it.
Yeah.
Because there's something about daffodils, but there's also something about an obsession with a plant. When you find somebody, and I've got lots of plant obsessions, but when you have somebody that has an obsession for a certain plant like these daffodils, and they have dedicated their life to making this historic collection. There are varieties back there that were brought over here on a boat in the 1700s. Now
Is that right?
It's not the same bulb.
With herbs.
Yeah.
wine.
But it's the same variety. We were Tracy and I were looking at one called Orange Cup from the 1800s.
Yep.
Most people think a daffodil is a yellow trumpet.
Yep.
But there's so much more to it than that. And when you can go this deep into a plant and just see this out here. I mean, Joe started collecting daffodils from the year he was born.
Yeah.
Then it went from there to all sorts of other, and then it's hybridizers, these different people who make these. They cross this orange one with a yellow one to get a pink one, a hybridizer. So he wants the hybridizers collections in here. And it's the greatest. I've been in Holland, okay?
Yeah.
I've taken people to Holland. This is the greatest collection of blooming daffodils I've ever seen in my life. It is the diversity out there. It's unmatched. I've never seen anything like it.
And John, I have to say again, and I'm not being funny because you weren't over there. There's nothing, all due respect, there's nothing flashy about it. You are just overwhelmed with the simplicity because there's just patches and patches. And the coolest part is, even though there's the 13 divisions, it's not like, oh, well, right here are what look like buttercups, or right here are the Spencer Tracy's. They're all kind of woven within, and you get to see each different one intermingling with the others.
And Doug,
over and over.
And Doug, what is so there are all these different types of daffodils, but they're still daffodils. What's the common thread that they are a daffodil? So many
Such a good
petals, or
question.
so what makes it a
just
daffodil?
just like a genus and species of anything.
Okay.
And so it's a narcissus. It's a species. These are scientifically named. It's a daffodil, and so that's all it is. And so what people have done over the years is, maybe first it was all like little yellow trumpets.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, it's a daffodil. Well, then one sprouts up and it's got 2 flowers on it or 3 flowers.
Yeah.
Well, we can't call that. We need to classify this. Okay, that's a division 2. Now we start finding others at division 3. And now there's 13, and who knows? With what breeders are doing, maybe there'll be another division.
Right.
And so that's just kind of the minutia of it. A daffodil is the harbinger of spring. Once, like for us in our climate, when the daffodils are here, there's no turning back. Yeah, it'll get cold, but there's no more winter. This is spring.
Who needs Phil?
Right.
We don't need him when we have Doug Oster.
Don't talk bad on the groundhog.
Daffodils
Don't.
mean spring.
How about that?
And they're this ephemeral treasure, because a lot of times you'll talk to people who garden and they'll say, well, like, does it bloom all the time? No, it's here and then it's gone. Well, I want something that blooms all the time. Why would you want that? Because you look forward to it. In the case of a gardener, you were on your hands and knees, like they are, putting sand and mulch in here, and they're putting this bulb in the fall. It's not instant gratification. You're waiting all through this terrible winter, and I don't care what the winter is, they're all terrible. When you start to see the daffodils emerge, and then you get those first yellow blooms, and then you pull one that has a little bit of fragrance, there's no stopping us.
Yeah.
And now it continues. I mean, you were out there.
Yeah.
This is spectacular. And the funny thing about Spencer Tracy is Spencer Tracy was a name variety from 1943. And the Field sisters told Joe, there's no Katharine Hepburn, because no one had bred one and named it that. Well, there was a seedling sprouted, and it's a new flower, and Joe named it Katharine Hepburn. So Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy
Isn't that cool?
are together forever
that's
out
great.
in that field.
Yeah. So if that doesn't make you want to come visit,
Yeah.
I don't know what does.
So, Doug, yeah, definitely come visit here. It's in Washington County. But, Doug, switch gears for a little bit here, because everybody listening, we're all getting that. We're all cabin fevered. We're ready to get out. And, we know because of COVID, people are starting to garden their own. They're making their own vegetable gardens, their flower gardens. So let's say someone's just started itching. They just don't even know where to start with a flower garden or a vegetable garden.
Rachel Rennebeck asking for a friend.
Yeah, asking for the friend to my left. So what can people start with to feel a little bit of success?
First off, don't be overwhelmed. People have been gardening for millions of years. you
Yeah,
know?
right.
So there's 3 things I tell people. The number one thing, improve the soil. Like when we're talking about planting daffodils,
Yeah.
they're putting something in there that daffodils love. And so that means compost. And so
You talked about that before.
whenever you're going to garden, you're improving the soil. That's number one. Number 2 is probably the most important right now. Knowing when certain plants go in the ground, but also knowing when others shouldn't. All right, so what happens, we have what we call a false spring, where we get 80 degrees in April.
False spring or false?
False.
Okay, false.
And so people think, okay, 80 degrees,
Yeah.
I'm going to get my flat of tomatoes and peppers, and I'm
Yeah.
going to put them in.
Right.
And then in May, we drop below 32, and they all die, and they think to themselves, I have a brown thumb.
Yeah.
It's not the way it works.
Okay.
So you know when the plant goes in. So right now, when you have cool weather like this, you know from experience, or you know from going to your nursery, that's the other thing. Go to a good nursery. They'll never sell you anything too early.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you say, what can I put in right now? Well, pansies. Okay, you're talking about flowers. You just go there, pansies. You can't go wrong with pansies. They love cold weather. What about my vegetables? Lettuce, radishes, beets, Swiss chard. They love cold weather. They'll tell you they love cold weather. What about my tomatoes? Nope, got to wait till mid-May. The third thing, you just don't let the stuff dry out. You do those 3 things, you're on a long way to having that proverbial green thumb.
Well, and it's funny because, I have that lily, that giant lily in my house that was from, I forget how many years now, maybe 8. And it starts to kind of die because it was unfortunately from a funeral, it was a peace lily, big one. And I'll cut off the parts. And I said, can you ever overwater? And you said no. And I was like, okay, thank God. Because now I act like I really know my stuff. My kids are like, Mom, you're putting, I'm like, I am not putting too much water on there. This is a good thing. I'm doctoring it back to life, but it's the truth. It's
And
really
she makes
happening.
them listen to the podcast where you said it. She's
No,
like,
I
your
don't.
homework is
No,
to
I
listen to the
don't, Doug.
podcast.
That part I don't.
Well,
but,
I have to.
but-
Wait. I don't think you heard me right.
Oh, didn't I? What did you tell me? Wait, this is so good. Tell me. What did you tell me?
Oh,
Tell me. Correct
Rennebeck
me.
kids, listen up.
The plant's okay. The good news
All
is
right,
the plant's okay.
peace lilies can take a lot, and they can take more water than most.
Okay.
But I would never say you could never overwater.
You said never.
the-
I'm going to it. No, I'm just kidding.
Somebody pull the tape.
You're right.
Her
Well,
peace lily has trench foot.
A piece-
someday.
I
You're
must
right.
have. I must have inferred that it can take lots of water.
Yes.
But you could kill it if you
could
kept
kill
pouring water on it, and you had a tray there where that was sitting in water.
no, because you said dump it.
Right.
Okay.
As long as you do that, you'll be
Guys,
okay.
edit.
but house plants are most often killed by kindness.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean a peace lily.
Sure.
It's really hard to kill a peace lily, but there are lots of other house plants that if you do give them too much water,
Yes, you did say that.
you're going to kill them.
All right.
All
All right, Doug. Well, then I
right.
need to get my stuff straight.
I might
Doug,
have said it that way,
The
but
good
who knows?
news is, well, I know you want to ask him. I wanted to talk about Earth Day. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, it's your show. Go for it.
Oh, I like the oh.
This is
I
why
was
you got to
gonna
watch
ask-
the behind the
I was
scenes.
going to ask him about the boxes.
The kiosks.
Yeah.
Well, tell him how that went down, though. Could I get some credit from that, or
Yeah, do
me
it.
and Tracy?
Yeah.
Tracy and I were both saying, and actually, you're our daily dose of happiness next week about the little newspaper boxes that you're repurposing. So John wants to know about it. Go ahead. He didn't know about it.
I didn't know
That's all.
anything about it. Rachel told me about it, so I was just going to ask before we let you go. I felt like she was going to give you the question of the day, and I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to. So tell us about we just talked about people starting, and so people can start through these boxes of seeds.
They're called Doug's Free Seed Checks. It's
Love
an
it.
old newspaper box, the kind you put a quarter in, it would open up. Well, the coin operation is gone. I bought them from a newspaper, and
Wonder which one.
and they didn't know it was me that was buying them. So it was
Shut up,
it was the newspaper that laid me off. And so an employee that was leaving bought the boxes cheap. I knew they would be perfect for this because what I want these boxes to do is I'm putting them in underserved populations. And I've got lots of donations of seeds, and all you're going to do is and you just find me and you'll see where those boxes are. You just go in and you get the seeds you want, take what you want, but want what you need. Don't take them all. Leave them for people. They have a secret compartment in them with some real special seeds. Pretty easy to find, though.
Okay.
But it's just a way for me a small way for me to help people grow where they can't get seeds, and I'm going to have varieties in there that are easy to grow.
Yeah.
I've got one that's got a beta version right now. I've got it at a nursery that's down the road from me called Hamm Nursery in Ross Township.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
And so it's sitting there. It's for anybody. And all I want people to do is go and look at it, look at the secret compartment, see if it all works right. If there's a problem, send me a message, or an idea, send me a
Let's
message.
do it on the way home. I'll be there. Oh, Doug, it's on.
She's on. She
There
loves seeds.
are some really weird tomatoes seeds.
Oh, really?
In the secret compartment where
Okay.
you can't get those anywhere else. There's one that was found on the battlefield of World War II called
Wow.
3945.
Oh,
that
my gosh.
A Pittsburgh veteran kept in his pocket. Found it on the battlefield. They crossed this battlefield, and it was filled with tomatoes. And they started gorging themselves on these tomatoes because they were eating sea rash.
Yeah, right.
right.
And he just stuck a little piece in his pocket and brought it back and grew it every year in Pittsburgh. And a friend of mine, both these guys have now deceased, but a friend of mine saw this tomato. He goes, "What is this?" And he tells the story. And he goes, "That's an amazing story about that tomato." And so I got the seeds, and I send the seeds to people. They grow the tomato, and they send me the seeds back.
Doug,
Isn't that great?
Well, this is a funny story because at the time I was working for the Post Gazette, and I had to tell.
Not the other paper.
I've worked for both.
I know.
That one didn't lay me off. Anyway, I told all the bosses, I want to do this thing where I send seeds out and they send them back. And everybody said, you can do your silly little project, but you'll never see a seed come back because people just want something for free, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you don't know gardeners. The first year I did the project with this other tomato that I was giving away called Potato Top, I got 140,000 seeds back.
Oh, my God.
No way.
Because gardeners love this sort of thing, and I knew they would. I knew they would want to grow this Pittsburgh tomato out, and they're learning a lot of things. They're learning that there's more than a big boy, just like there's more than a yellow trumpet.
Sure.
They're learning that you can save the seeds.
Right.
You can save these seeds, and you can
that?
perpetuate these varieties so that they'll never die. 3945 could have just gone the way, never be found again when Joe passed away. But because we got a hold of it, because we can get people interested in this, that variety will never die because somebody out there is going to have that seed, and they're going to say, "Oh, this is that
That is so
3945, or this is the Potato Top
Yep.
that Fred Limbaugh grew."
Yeah.
This is the fun thing of what I do.
Wow.
You know, that project costs nothing.
Yeah.
You know, you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope. I send you back some seeds.
Yeah.
I tell you what my website is. Maybe I can get you to come to that, whatever. Yeah. But you get these seeds. You grow it. You pass it on to all these other people.
I love it.
It never dies.
In
that's
the meantime,
idea.
we have a tomato union, $39.45.
Yeah. And I love tomatoes. So there you go. I have to make sure I get this down pat
Yeah,
so I
right.
don't repeat it the next time he comes on and tell him that my tomatoes
Do not
are dead.
overwater your tomato. All right.
Oh,
Now
you
we
can never overwater your tomatoes.
Spoken like a true professional, Doug.
Doug, you're the best. And I'm not kidding that we would love to continue this and have you on quarterly so that we can find these amazing gems like here.
I'm
Because we
there.
have to talk about
I'm
people's
there.
grass.
Yeah.
Because, you know, grass is starting to grow and people whack it real low to try it so they don't have to cut it for 2 weeks. And
Yeah,
we have to
there's
talk about
such
all
a science.
those things.
That's
yeah.
so true.
Nothing
so
can
true.
outgrow grass when it's happy. We'll leave it right there.
Okay.
Next time we will tell you how to make it happy.
I hope I don't screw that
We
up.
call
though.
that a tease.
I mean, Doug. All right. So I'm gonna hope that you have a little bit more creativity because Joe, it's warranted. Okay, he is the guy here, and he's gonna say brings May flowers. What is your tagline gonna be when I say April showers? ...
brings gardening love.
Oh,
Nice.
and he said it so perfectly.
Nice.
It's like the Barry White of gardening. Yeah.
If Joe wouldn't have been first, though, I would have said Mayflowers.
Doug, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks,
Where
guys.
can everybody find you?
Just go to DougOster.com. And
it.
I'll tell you what, you got a garden question, that's part of my job. Never feel that you're bothering me or anything. My job is to answer your garden questions. And I do that. I do it day and night, and I love doing it. And
Awesome.
Who knows? I might find something interesting in that question, and you'll be one of my stories.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's great.
awesome.
We love this.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you very
I
much.
feel
Awesome.
like Doug is that guy who like brought it out in me. Like, can we tell him about my bucket list real quick? This
Yeah,
is the
do it.
Facebook world. This has nothing to do with the podcast, but so every so many years you have bucket lists, right? So I was very fortunate because I'm on North Hills School Board. In case you didn't know, I wanted to be in some type of politics. Don't know why, but I'm on the school board, which is fantastic for North Hills. So now I said, now I'm in my later 40s and I have to come up with a new bucket list. And my husband said, what's it going to be? And I said, I want a greenhouse. And literally, it was like the record went, everybody was like, what is she saying? Because I can't keep plants.
He
but
thought she meant paint the house green because she meant nothing about plants.
I don't, but
Yeah.
my neighbor has this phenomenal greenhouse and I want to learn. So you're sort of going to be I'm going to end up asking you all those questions. I will drive you crazy, but I don't
No.
care. So that's my
Just have fun
Patience.
and grow what you love. Have
Yeah.
fun and grow what you
But
love.
I don't know what I love.
I'd love to grow
That's
tomatoes.
what,
I love tomatoes.
But you will.
Yeah.
You'll see something, you'll fall in love with it. You'll see a flower. When we were going through those
Yeah.
daffodils, I started telling you about all the divisions and everything. I said, number 4, that's
Yes.
for me.
Yes.
Okay, 13 different divisions. I love number 4.
Yes.
You'll
Yeah, you'll
find
find
you'll
it. You're
find the
right.
same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
I love it.
It ain't rocket science. Gardening
It's not-
ain't rocket science.
You always say
okay?
that, but I screwed up royally, so I don't know about that.
Take it easy on that
Thank
piece,
you.
Lily.
Dude, you have to keep that piece in because that's hysterical. Only I would, I pay attention to detail, people, but I guess somehow in my head I was doing something right. That's so funny. Anyway, so we're super excited. You already heard the story on the next guest. And we're excited because we literally have only seen him pre-pandemic, really, at Providence Point. But, if you know me, you know that I'm a journalism junkie and I love the art of journalism. And I love talking to people who have had so many different pathways. And come on up, Harry. So John said when we met Harry Funk, he said, we need to get him on. Like, he has this really cool approach. And the cool part, but you do, the cool part was when you were at Providence Point, clearly, it's not brain surgery that we were at Providence Point doing some marketing and you took some photos and it's a great place, not downplaying it. But we've obviously read other things that you've written. And I love that old school, I'm going to say old school,
Go for
not
it.
dating
I'm
you or
old.
anything, but that old school feel of writing because, honestly, to me, a lot of the times it's gone. That paying attention to detail. That, as we said, when he got here, I have to say, Harry said, "Oh, I know Rachel with 2 A's." That is so important to me because, for goodness sake, that's how you spell my name. It's not 1 A. And so if you're not in a profession like journalism, sometimes you don't even pay attention,
Oh, I mean that's a dying art. I'll call
a
it
dying art.
to not only spell names right, but to spell anything right. To
Or
use
fact
words.
check.
Well, that's a whole different story. To use things in the proper contents. Nobody
Yes.
knows grammar anymore.
Yes.
To use punctuation. I mean,
Yeah.
people text. I get texts. I can't even figure out what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I write mine in as perfect English as I can get.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
So, Harry, tell everybody who you write for and who you write for
Sure.
yourself. Yeah.
Well, wait, is it the Doug Oster good paper or not good paper?
It is neither.
Right.
I work for the Observer Reporter, which is over not far from here in
Yeah.
Washington, PA. I am in charge. Well, I do a weekly paper we have in the South Hills called the Almanac. Due to, let's just call making the operation lean, it is myself and a sports editor doing the publication each and every week. But
Yeah.
it can be fun. It can be kind of challenging. Whatever the case, I've been working in community news for 36 years now. I like the local, I like meeting people.
Yeah. Was that always your kind of passion, was the local beat? I mean, were you ever the guy that said, I'm going to work for the Washington Post?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I got into journalism. I liked to write when I was a kid. Then I had a journalism teacher in high school who was really good looking, Mrs. Hall.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And they say, what do you want to major in? I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's journalism. There you go. And
Yeah.
I meant to change it, never did. Got a job out of school in Monroeville for a group of newspapers, community newspapers, and that was that.
So you literally have been with the same company, really?
Well, the Observer I joined in 1990, left, came back, left, and now I'm back. So, but
Okay.
yeah, off and on for quite a while.
Wow.
Go ahead. So, community news, you mean such as like we're doing here. Do you also like the school board meetings? The
Yes.
Politics of it all as well?
Oh, you
Well-
can come to one of mine, but
Oh boy. Well, I
Who's
go
on the school board.
I go to those purely as an observer.
Okay.
I don't want to get involved in
Okay.
politics, but and that's all changed. I'll tell you, with the pandemic,
Yeah.
a lot of them are streamed now, which is convenient. I can sit at home and kind of monitor that and do some other work.
sure.
At the same time, I don't have to be in the building. Although I prefer to do that if
Sure.
possible.
Yeah.
I think it's more professional to actually be there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was going to say that's sort of alluding to the next question. Journalism, the face of journalism, I mean, obviously, it shocks us sometimes that even our podcast, we've been lucky to be up for a Golden Quill,
great.
But when I worked at the Trib, as I always said, we would have to submit stories, and mine never, nothing ever, and then here's our podcast that actually gets a nod. What do you think, other than the physicality of holding the paper, what is the biggest change that you've seen from newspaper to now?
Honestly, a lot of it is expedience anymore. You want to get product out there quickly, immediately, and that can lead to some things that aren't quite.
Sure, mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Coming out of school, I was told, number one, get everybody's name spelled correctly.
That's right.
And no A in your list, or no, just one A.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you two must have issues getting your name spelled properly.
Our A's.
But beyond that, it was be accurate.
Yeah.
So, you strive to do that. And I'm still mortified just a tiny little whatever. But I'll read things even on a national scale, and I'm like, wait, that's not right, or that sentence is constructed horribly. It's a matter of getting it out there.
Yeah.
So, I nitpick about that stuff. I don't know about other people, but then
Same.
you read large, pretty long corrections as to we got this wrong the first
We're
time.
a rare breed because I think everyone's just so used to just get, like you said, that instant gratification.
gratification.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we talk about social media. This is a long question to
Go for it.
We talk about social media being, it's not much different between social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, between as far as networking 1,000 years ago. Because if you were a jerk 1,000 years ago, you're still a jerk on social media. Because
Where's he
if you
going
talk
with this?
about
I know.
yourself all the time,
Right.
you still talk about yourself all the time. The medium has changed, but the techniques are still the same. If you're nice and ask about others,
Right,
1,000
right.
years ago, you built your
get it.
network.
Yeah.
If you're nice and ask about others and entertain others' thoughts, you build your following on social media. So if you would take that question and sort of extrapolate that into reporting, some things still the same in reporting, even from 1,000 years ago. Like, some young person at Point Park listens to this and go, "Oh, what does that old guy know, right? You know about this." But the fact is, what you do know is the wisdom that they need. And what's the wisdom that they need?
Well, I do this. I've
long way.
well, there you go.
I told you it was a long way.
No, that's fine. I've developed this over the years, but instead of firing questions at people, I engage them in conversations, which probably takes a little bit longer than just question, answer. But that way we can develop a good rapport. That way I can dig deep, kind of find some interesting things that probably wouldn't have come out. So I can integrate that into writing, and it goes beyond just he said, she said, but there's an element to that you kind of get to know the person, and it works out very well, I feel, that, you find some things that you wouldn't have otherwise. So.
Well, and the art of we joke because you still do this where you take a notepad and you write or you record. That's
record,
not
yes.
People don't really do that anymore. Even in the interviews that we've had, even when we were on Pittsburgh Magazine, it was literally, a phone interview. Like you said, there's something to be said for that face to face.
Oh yeah,
that element. Not that there's anything wrong with the fact we were.
Oh, I
during
hate
COVID,
telephones myself.
Yeah.
So.
But like we said, though, COVID sort of created this whole new figure it out, mentality.
Well, and that's worked out well, because at first I'm like calling people. Again, you can't see them, they can't see me.
Right.
It's tough to get a real exchange, real good exchange going. But then when everybody started getting on, I'll say Zoom is kind of the generic term that's being
right.
used. But I'm on Zoom most of the time myself. Let's do it that way.
Yeah.
So I've had a great time with that. For one thing, it records itself. So
Yes. True.
so it's all there, but that's the next best thing to being there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm sitting in my basement, which is my office now. I can
Sure.
be myself. The person on the other end can be him or herself, and
Yeah.
it works out really well.
does.
So I plan to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Because the older I get, the less I want to go run around all over the place.
Same.
And so to fast forward, there's all of this technology out there.
Yeah,
TikTok, Instagram. I mean, we talk about broadcasters. They have to
We're
have
working
Twitter
on a
accounts,
TikTok.
Instagram accounts, all these
you guys,
radio people. They don't get any more money, but they get Twitter
It's so
accounts,
true.
Facebook pages. Same
More
for
to
you.
do.
So let's think in a positive manner. What do you really appreciate about what technology is out there now? I know it's a lot of extra work. It's extra learning, but what do you appreciate?
Oh,
about it?
I mean, I always enjoyed learning whatever technology was coming. My favorite is right there, my little recorder.
Yes.
It's a digital recorder. It goes on forever, and I just transcribe it. It works out great, because those old cassette players you used
You don't
to
have to
use.
put your
yeah.
pencil.
You don't
in.
remember that, Rachel?
I do. I swear.
But that was too much of a pain to bop back and forth. This, I just boot it
Yeah.
up in a program. It can go exactly where I want. It
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
out really well. When for a while I was an online editor back when the internet was kind of new yet, and I just found it to be fascinating. But I taught myself everything, but I try to communicate what I was doing, and people's faces would glaze over. And I'm like, this is a very involved process. Tried to describe it. They didn't know what I was talking
No
about.
idea.
So,
What was that?
yeah.
That's wild, huh?
Yeah, so it was, I felt like kind of banging my head against the wall at
Sure.
times.
So is the future good for newspapers? I know it's not great for print, but it is good for
Well,
news, right? because
honestly-
there's so
well,
many outlets
okay.
now.
Well,
you-
depend. Yeah.
Okay, from my perspective, a lot of what the local newspapers have traditionally done is, be watchdogs on that local
Yes.
level. And while the elected officials I know I trust to do the right thing, just in my little neck of the woods, I worry about the lack of resources being put into, keeping an eye on people. And that's not to say anybody's going to go out and do anything illegal, but you never know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much has changed. Yeah. There's so many layers to it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because
Yeah.
the lack of reporters
Exactly.
and the lack of staff
And-
to
He has
really
two
kind of get
people
out
in his
there.
office.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and honestly, people ask about investigative reporting. I'm like, the
Right.
resources just for
Yeah.
a variety of reasons, not to But they just aren't there anymore.
Well, and even the fundamentals, quite honestly, of journalism have changed.
I don't know what. No, I shouldn't say that.
All right.
A lot of what younger reporters, when I was working more directly with them, when I was an editor, say grammar, for example, I'd have to explain what prepositions were.
Well, and lucky for us, Harry.
Oh, there we go.
Little something, something. He looked us up once we finally said you have to come on, and it's the Pittsburghese. Right, so he said this was from like the
1982.
40s?
It is.
Oh,
It's
wow.
40 years old,
40
just
years
about. I
old.
can't believe it was that long ago.
Yeah, my time. Switch gears a little bit. What is your favorite topic to cover? If you were like, you know what, this
Music.
is something I really.
that
Music.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
Love music.
Okay.
Play a little bit myself, but
Damn, our musician couldn't come. We could have
We
had you
just
be our
became
musician.
Yeah.
an explicit podcast
I said,
because
damn.
you did that.
Oh, for
Oh, wow.
Say for what?
Oh, for
damn,
crying-
DAM, like
Not
Beaver
Yes.
Dam. Yeah, there you
Right,
go.
right.
But
Oh.
I've always enjoyed music going way back when I was young. I'm a classic rock kind of junkie. You ask
Yeah.
me something from the late 60s, early 70s. I'll
Wait,
tell
and
you.
what do you play? What instrument do you play?
I play guitar.
Was that
John,
that
do
was-
it. John, do your air guitar.
No. So were you like the typical kid where you're gonna get up and learn guitar to get girls, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that what you
that
did,
kind of thing? That's what I mean.
Well-
Kind of like the rite of passage for young men.
That was a
guitar.
good part of it. But
Yeah.
mainly I like music a lot. I
Okay.
took piano lessons. Thought
Okay.
guitar was cooler and frankly easier
First
to work
song you ever
with.
played on a guitar?
Uncle John's Band, written by Jerry Garcia and Robert Hunter,
It's a good
by the
song.
Grateful Dead, which is
There
my
you go. We
jacket.
see.
I see that. Yeah, yeah.
Grateful Dead.
Yeah. How
You
about
know,
that?
40 whatever years later, yeah,
Still going strong. I love it. Listen, I can't believe it took this long to have you come on and,
Hey,
and
the
talk a little bit about
pandemic.
yeah,
interfered,
well,
so-
that's certainly it too. Where
With
can
everything.
everybody follow you, find you, all that good stuff, so that they can continue to see what
Oh,
real
my goodness.
reporting's like?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Harry Funk, F-U-N-K. Very easy to remember.
Easy. Yeah.
I post.
That's your real name, by the way.
It is my real name. Oh, I have a.
Yeah.
If you have a minute, a
Yes,
funny
do it.
story.
Of course we
Do
do.
it.
So I went to school at IUP.
Yep.
I met
Okay.
some fellas, and they're, Harry L is my middle initial, Funk. So this one fella, he turned out to be big brother in my fraternity. He asked, "How'd you get that nickname?" What? Harry L Funk, like L. Whatever,
Right.
El Camino,
Camino,
or something.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
I said,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
my real name. He's like, no. So I pulled out my driver's license. He's like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you're like a little legend. He's a guitar player.
Well,
You know,
I mean,
God,
why? You have completely missed your calling by not being a guitar player called Harry L. Funk.
well, you
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
heard
We
me
want the
yet,
funk.
so
Gotta grab that funk.
Harry the guy, right?
I don't really
He
play
performs.
funky. No, you haven't heard me yet, so
Okay.
don't.
Can you play Deep Purple though? Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, you know what? On the way down, one of the songs from that one popped up. I play acoustic guitar mainly. It's a little
Okay.
bit difficult to do.
Yeah. That's it's tough. Yeah. Harry Funk, this has been Harry L. Funk.
L.
It has been so awesome. to
Funk.
have
So,
you.
yeah, that's what they all knew me as back in the
Hit him
day.
with the question of the day. See if we get something interesting.
All right. So you have not been placed in our soundproof booth because we don't have it. And by the way, before we give this question today, one more reminder while you're still paying attention. Venmo YaJagoff Podcast. If you'd like to donate to the Daffodil Hortus here, please Venmo YaJagoff Podcast. It's real easy. It's how you spell it right over there. And Venmo is $5, $20. We will make sure that Joe and the sisters, the Field sisters, as they keep
I love
calling
it.
them, get them.
I love
so
it.
our question of the day is, April showers bring ...
Well, yeah, you're right. I did hear this before, so I thought about it.
And
It brings the Pirates losing in the rain.
see, this is what I was looking for. And all these gardeners had these great things. I leave it to a journalist to come up with
I'm
something
like you,
that.
Rachel, brown thumb or whatever you
Right,
want to call
I'm
it.
a brown
No
thumber.
clue whatsoever.
Right.
That's
I
it.
love
That's
it.
it.
I used-
Are you a gardener at all? I mean, like
I have a
anything?
son who lives at home that has the whole backyard as garden. He did not get any of that from me.
Yeah,
I guarantee you.
right. So on your bucket list, what you have to do is put green thumb and then become friends with
No, hey, this,
How about Doug Oster would be there?
Doug.
yeah,
Doug
I
is
mean, that's
always-
fascinating. And I honestly, this is a great place
Isn't it
here. I mentioned you guys, I'm going to be writing about my experience here. I will certainly put in a great word for Joe, for Doug, for
Yeah.
you guys.
Look at that.
How about
You
that?
name it.
That's awesome. Well, and we always talk about Gus and Yaya's on the north side, the snowball guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a bubble of peace within the city.
Yeah.
This is definitely a bubble of
Oh,
peace
this
right
is
here in
great.
Washington
Yeah.
County.
Gives you a little bit of
Come around, just walk around, and they will cut flowers, pick flowers for you,
Yeah.
and you could take them home.
Yep.
Mother's Day's coming up, right?
Rachel's birthday.
All right,
Absolutely.
Harry, thank you so much for
Thank
being on
you
our
guys. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you inviting me, and it's great to be out and about.
Listen, and if you're ever working on anything that you want to talk about, give us an email to Tracy and come on.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Dude,
So-
how much did you like this podcast?
Yeah, this was a great podcast,
Yeah.
actually. Well, and
Tracy, you got to give
yeah.
it to Tracy. She's
Right.
here today, so you really have to make sure.
Right.
Yeah.
She pulled this all together because, as you know, we didn't even know this place existed.
No.
Before all that. So thank you to Joe. And again, the sisters. And
The Field
remember,
sisters, yeah.
Daffodil, Hortus, down here in Washington County. And we will put the address in the comments below. But you can come down here. As Joe said, you only have a few weeks to get down here and see it.
Yeah.
And then you can clip some flowers and take some flowers home.
Just
and give a little
enjoy the
donation.
reason to get out of your house
Right.
now and be outside without a mask, because you can kind of just go through it by yourself and
Right.
enjoy the time. And thanks to Doug Oster, seriously, I mean, everyone else is capitalizing on his amazingness, like through, Earth Day stuff and beyond, even just his tips on his website and his talk shows and such.
Here's
So
what
we are
Doug
gonna have
hasn't
him
figured
on
out
every
yet.
quarter. What?
Right. Here's what he hasn't figured out. Is
Oh.
we're using him for free advice.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
he has no
does
idea.
not know. No.
Yeah.
And obviously, thanks to Harry Funk for finally being able to come on. Thanks to our musician, who you will be hearing in between. Anyway, and thanks as
Done
always.
Fusion Entertainment.
Yep, thanks to Fusion
Yeah.
Entertainment for always providing our musicians. Check out Fusion Entertainment, in fact, because so many different acts have gone through them, and they place them in perfect, venues, because we need that, and go out and enjoy. But thank you so much to
Rourke Honda.
There is no better time than now to trade your car. That trade-in is good for amazing new vehicles as well as certified and used cars. And no matter the car deal, expect the Rourke Advantage. The other advantage at Rourke is the parking lot of fun shows with comedians and musicians. Check YaJagoff.com for details and
All of your vehicle needs.
at visit Rourke.com for all of your vehicle needs. That's it. Thanks, guys. Perfect.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
Thank you. We appreciate it. You guys are great. This was fantastic.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
I need one fake picture because I don't know how to unzoom this.